Welcome, everyone. This is Anna Runyon, founder and CEO of Classy Career Girl, where we're on a mission to help all women find career fulfillment. And today I have such a great guest that I'm excited to introduce you to. Today's guest is someone who I feel like I already know because we have so many similarities about our lives, and I will tell you about that in a little bit. But today I'm interviewing Kate Northrup, and she's the author of a brand new book called Do Less, a revolutionary approach to time and energy management for busy moms. Kate Northrup is an entrepreneur who supports ambitious women to light up the world without burning themselves out in the process. And let me tell you, we all need to hear that. So welcome, Kate, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So Kate, I don't know if you're aware about all of our similarities, but I think it's really cool for our discussion today. I'm a mom with 2 daughters as well, and I also work with my husband, like you do, and we both run membership sites. So I can relate to a lot of the things that you're talking about and we're going to be talking about today. So let's get started.
Great.
So congrats on the book. I want to hear this story. I love stories. I want to hear the story of how you decided to write this book. Because I know previously you talked about money in your previous book. So what's the journey been like?
Well, so my first book, Money, a Love Story, did well. And so when you have a book that does well, they ask you for another one. But I don't know. I just was creatively spent. I just wasn't ready. I just didn't want to be one of those authors who writes 25 books that are essentially the same thing with different titles. So I kept saying no. And then I got pregnant with my first daughter, and I was really tired. And like you, I run a company with my husband, and I had so much less to give to my business during that first pregnancy. And then also during the first year of motherhood. It wasn't like my passion went away. It was just that I had more going on than I ever had before.
Mm-hmm.
And it was through that process, but we didn't have, anybody's job to land on financially. We didn't have maternity leave or any kind of extra kind of support. And
Right.
So with this massively contracted amount of time and energy we had to devote to our business, we needed to get the same results. And because, we had to put food on the table and pay the mortgage and medical bills.
I understand very well. I get it.
So it was real. And basically what ended up happening is I kind of intuitively figured out how to get the same results or better through doing way less. And then I went backwards and looked at, how did that actually happen? Because our business did not tank. In fact, it grew a little bit, and has grown quite a bit since having kids. I now have 2 daughters. And I'm still a little bit, to be perfectly honest, due to our cultural assumption that the only way to get better results is to just work harder and put in more hours. I'm still a little mystified by my message because I was also raised to believe that the only valuable thing is sweat equity and grunt work and just putting your head down. And yet I am finding day after day after day that the more space I bring into my life, that the more spaciousness and ease and breaks and rest that I bring into our business life and my life, that the better results we get. And so basically I figured, I'm not the only one who has, navigated new motherhood. I'm not the only one who feels overwhelmed by life and business and how to get it all in. I'm not the only one. And so if I figured out some things that work, I should tell people. And so then the next time my publisher called and wanted a book, I finally was like, okay, I actually do have something to say. Awesome. However, it's on a different topic. And so that's what happened.
I love it. So what did you figure out? What is the do less philosophy, and how can we actually achieve more by doing less?
It has so much to do with a couple of things. One, as a woman, it's very specific. My mantra is body first, business second. And it doesn't take going through an illness more than once to realize how critical it is to take care of ourselves. And yes, certainly we talk about the importance of exercise, and, people talk about their non-negotiables of, I exercise five times a week. And, we trying to check off the boxes, the green juice, the supplements, the eating, whatever, the bulletproof coffee, like all the things that people do. And I do many of those things too. So I'm not saying they're wonderful things. And yet we're sort of like taking care of our bodies over here in this other category. And then we will work and work and work and just push through far past the point of exhaustion, far past the point where our brain got foggy and our work really started to suffer, far past the point where we know we should have taken a break or gotten some sleep. And what I found is that when we reorganize our productivity and our business, actually literally our schedule, because how we live our days is how we live our lives. If we reorganize our schedule according to our body's needs, it's really cool, because where our creativity is sourced from is our body. And the way we get energy to run our business is through our body. We are animals. And so we can look to to our bodies as the blueprint for how to organize our days by simply, it can be so simple. I like to keep things simple and practical.
Yeah.
By just asking ourselves, what does my body need today? Mm-hmm. And how can I give my body that thing? And when you are either at work or running a business, you can always give your body just like a sliver of what it needs. Just a sliver. And then eventually that sliver turns into something larger and larger and larger, even if it's like some sunshine, a drink of water, or whatever.
And then you can give so much more in your business too, because you have the energy too. Like, you're not limiting yourself.
Yeah. So what I talk about a lot is that time management is really kind of a myth, because the idea of time management is that we can like manipulate time and somehow fit everything into a day. If we could just, it just doesn't work. No. But if we can master our energy, we actually can do so many more things to manage our energy, because our energy is a renewable resource in a way that our time is not. Like, you can get, you can really leverage your energy. You can put in inputs, whether it's sleep, meditation, taking a break. The data shows that taking a break every 52 minutes actually massively increases our productivity. So 52 minutes of work and a 17-minute break. That's the cycle that is recommended. I don't do that exact thing because it seems silly, but I'm just saying, like,
that's what the research says.
That's what the research says. And so we can put these inputs in and get a really big output from an energy standpoint. And when our energy is managed really well, we get a lot more done in a lot less time. And we're just more effective. And so I believe the way to expand time is to manage our energy instead of, I think we've mostly been taught to manage the wrong resource.
Yeah. And you have a whole energy planner. It looked like I'm big on planning. I have my own planner, and awesome. So I think, was it an energy planner I saw in your book?
Yeah, I do have I came up with these planner sheets. I am really nerdy, like hyper nerd. And so I got so into this idea of, once I started learning about, so after my first daughter was born, I think it's so weird that I talk about this, but I do. So I was raised by a gynecologist. So like my whole life was TMI, and I can't even believe that I'm out there like talking about things like my period, because I still am just like, I'm having flashbacks to my mother embarrassing me my whole childhood, but I can't help it because it's so useful. So when my period came back after my first daughter was born, all of a sudden, for the first time in my life, I was actually excited to learn about it as a resource for organizing my life, as opposed to as this like super annoying thing that I was just trying to handle. Because what's so cool is there are these 4 phases and of our cycles. All of us have just learned about the one phase, when you need a tampon. Mm-hmm. But there are these other phases, and our brain as women is hormonally wired for different kinds of activities at these different phases of our cycle. And if you're not cycling and for whatever reason, pregnant, nursing, hysterectomy, whatever, there's so many reasons, menopause, you can still, the moon does these same phases. And so I just like it because I find that it gives me an internal blueprint for managing my energy and time, as opposed to what all other time management systems are, which is mostly that somebody else, usually a man,
Yeah, I was just going to say, it. I think it's usually a man.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, like time management has been historically taught by men, as were most things. And so this is the only way that I have ever figured out to manage my time and energy that is sourced internally, which is why it works so well, because it's not just some, manipulated, I can't think of the word right now, but you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't just invented on a piece of paper. It's actually how my body and how my experience of life works.
Interesting. And you talk about a whole chapter about to-do list as well, and like streamlining your to-do list. Like what I can't wait for that chapter. Like what's inside there, because that I think would really resonate with our audience, and simplifying too. Like you talk about
simplifying. So huge. So are you a list maker?
I am. Oh yes. There's a list right in front of me right now.
Yeah,
I'm checking things off.
I've got my list right now, and I know that your listeners are listening, so I'm going to describe it. I created a system for myself after my first daughter. Before I had kids, I really just sort of flew by the seat of my pants because I just didn't have the limitations on my time and energy. I could work at 11 at night. I could, work. I could just like make it happen. So I just did. And then the kid, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I can't just do whatever anymore. I got to get it together. So, and I've always been a planner. I mean, I got my first day timer when I was 14. So I've been obsessed with time. However, with the streamlining the to-do list practice, what I teach, within my membership and in the book and just in my community, is that to make a weekly to-do list as opposed to a daily to-do list. And here's why that's revolutionary. Life is quite unexpected. We are going to have unexpected things happen to us every single day, for sure every single week, but mostly every single day. And you don't have to have kids for that to happen, right? Your parents have stuff happen. Your neighbor needs something. Your boss this. I mean, stuff happens. And so most time management systems and scheduling protocols and practices assume that we can control our lives. And while I believe we can control our responses to our lives, we cannot control our lives completely. And so when you do a weekly to-do list, what it does is it allows for the flexibility of life's unexpected events, which are completely inevitable. And so what I do is I take an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and I have a printout of this that I do, but you could do it and just draw a line down the middle on one side. And on the left-hand side, I put my to-do list. So my to-do list for the week is 1/2 of one side of an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And then the other side, I put the universe's to-do list. And this is an idea I got from Abraham Hicks. And so before I even make my to-do list, I write my desires, my goals, my bigger things that like I feel like on a human level, it feels like a lot. And so I put them on the universe's to-do list side. Now, it doesn't mean I'm not going to take action towards those things, obviously. But here's an example. A couple years ago, we had a childcare change situation with my older daughter, and I needed to find somebody to watch her on Thursdays. And at that time in my life, she was barely sleeping, and it just felt really hard I don't want to call 50 million daycares. I don't want to go through and interview like 25 nannies. It's a lot of work. And so I put it down on my universe's to-do list, childcare situation for Penelope on Thursdays. And I swear, now it doesn't mean I didn't do a little Googling, but I swear to you, within 24 hours, I drop her off at daycare the next morning. And the daycare director was like, I heard you need somebody to watch Penelope on Thursdays. My schedule has just shifted. I would love to be with Penelope on Thursdays. I adore her. Wow. Do you want me to watch her? And I was like, yeah, that was fast. So, and then the other day, something else happened where I said to my husband, you know what, I think we are going to need to get a second refrigerator because we host people a lot, holidays. There's just like a food that is going to go bad because we live, you can't always just put your food on the porch, even though we can do that a lot of the year in Maine. And within like 4 hours, somebody showed up and asked me if I needed an extra refrigerator. They were getting rid of one and it was free. So that doesn't happen all the time, but I really do believe that there is help available to us, whether it's through human beings or other forces. I don't know what people's belief system is, but that there's a lot more support available to us. And this helps us to get out of the mentality that if something's going to happen, we have to be the one to do it. Because that will be your downfall in your career and in your life, is thinking that you have to do everything. So I love delegating to the universe because it strengthens the muscle in me of faith and trust that there's something larger going on here.
And you write it down and get out of your head, because I feel like sometimes you stress about those things and it can take over all the other things you really need to get done.
That's such a good point. It is. And then on the other side, the real practicals, the actual to-do list of the things I'm going to do, the reason I keep it limited, it's the same philosophy as like if you want to lose weight, you want to eat off smaller plates. You just need to edge out the things that don't belong. So I make it small so that I don't overschedule myself. Because I don't want to live my life feeling like I'm behind all the time. Like, that sucks.
Right.
And so there are 3 questions that I recommend asking before something goes on your to-do list. And they are, does it need to be done? Like, actually, does this need to be done? Is it related to my goals? Like, am I going to get the results I want from this? Or am I just doing it because I saw it was shiny on Instagram and somebody said it was the newest strategy? Like, do I actually have to do this thing, right? A great example of this, super simple. How Michelle Obama would show up at events in the same outfit that she had showed up at other events in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I love that because it's very real life. And also, it's a great example of, let's say on your to-do list was that you needed to go get a dress for an appearance. Well, that's going to take a while by the time you get to the mall and do all the things, or order online and try them all on, and then the shipping them back. Oh my gosh. So great example, deciding to change the rules for ourselves. Do I really need to do that? Michelle Obama said, no, I don't. I'm showing up in the same dress I showed up in a month ago.
I love it.
Very practical example, but does this need to be done is number 1. The second question is, does this need to be done by me? So if you work within a team, is there somebody else who would be better suited to do that task? Is it something your partner could do? Your husband could do? Is it something your kids can do? My daughter's 3.5 and I'm already looking for opportunities to involve her. So, we put on a cleanup song, we clean up the living room together, she sets the table. Just because I don't want her to grow up thinking that I'm her servant. And
exactly.
I want to save time, and she can do wonderful things. Like, I'm like, hey, honey, can you go up and get Ruby's jammies, for bath time? And she loves it. So she goes up the stairs, picks out the jammies, brings them back for the tub. So does it need to be done by me? And then the third is, does it need to be done right now? And so the does it need to be done right now, or this week would be a better question, is really helping us so that we are not making our to-do list a catch-all of every task that could possibly be done ever, but that in fact, it's a list of what needs to be done now. Now, I recommend having like a project management software or somewhere where you do capture those longer term tasks, those things that maybe do need to be done a couple months from now, because what ends up happening is the to-do list becomes this place to do a brain dump. And then every time we look at it, it causes so much anxiety and makes us feel behind or like we're failing, or like, it locks us into that feeling of lack around time. And from that place of feeling, you're never going to have enough time from if you're living in the perspective of there's not enough time. And it's a huge energy drain when you're constantly beating yourself up for being behind. So I love the simplifying, the streamlining, the to-do list, and just literally doing less by putting less on your to-do list.
When do you do, because I know some people get overwhelmed just even making time for writing a to-do list. So when is your weekly, and I do this too, I love it. When is your weekly planning session, and like how long does it take? And do you have it the same time every week?
Good question. So sometimes I do it on Sunday nights. It just depends on how much I want to fall on the floor after a weekend with the kids. And then sometimes I will do it Monday mornings, first thing. So the girls go to daycare Monday mornings. And so I'll do it like at 8 or 8:30. Mine is really simple. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes. I actually have on my website exactly what I do. as like a little guide for free. And so I ask first, what does my body need? So I'll ask what phase in my cycle I'm in and what does my body need. If I'm in like the follicular phase, I know I want to be more organized around planning and brainstorming and initiating. If I'm in the ovulation phase, I know I'm going to be wanting to be more focused on outward connecting, networking, launching things, like really being out there. And then if I'm in the luteal phase, it's more of an inward time. It's more like crossing my T's, dotting my I's, wrapping things up. And then if I have my period, I just want to be like a little more restful that week. So I try to infuse maybe 10% of my tasks with what my body needs. Cause we also, we run businesses or we work in companies, and you can't freaking manipulate the whole thing. So,
there's things you got to do.
There are things you got to do, but I like to sort of give my body a nod and just let her know, like, I've got you, I'm paying attention, and I'm not going to run you over. As the first thing I do during the week. And then I know, like, what I get back from that is extra energy and more creativity and insights and intuition that I know I would not have tapped into if I wasn't putting my body first, because we only get one. And then I look at what are my top 3 priorities for the week. And then I ask, how do I feel right now? And is there anything I need to tend to, like, from a heart place? How's the marriage? How's the kids? Like, am I feeling lonely? Am I feeling isolated? Am I feeling excited? What's going on with me right now? and then I love astrology. So I'll look at what's going on cosmically, and organize a little bit around the moon and the stars.
I love that you are checking in with yourself too, because sometimes we get so busy, we just forget to do that because we're just doing.
Because we're just doing, and then we end up, it's like been 3 years of just doing, and we wonder where we went.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love how so your book is based around these little experiments that you can do to do less. So share with us some of the experience. I love how it's actually actions, because sometimes you learn and then they get done with the podcast, but give us some actual actions that people can take.
So this one I love, very practical. So if you've read Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Work Week, or a lot of the different productivity books, you've heard about Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule.
Yes.
So I had heard about it, loved the concept, and I would always write it down. And then I just never.
Why don't you explain it just in case?
Oh yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Doesn't know.
The 80-20 rule says that 80% of your results will come from 20% of your actions, or 80% of your customers will give you 20% of the revenue, or 80% of your customers will give you 20% of the headaches. So you can apply the 80-20 rule to a lot of different areas in your life. I believe that 80% of our connection and our sense of connection with our children is due to 20% of our actions with them. I really I think it works in marriages, it works in health, across the board. So I had never seen anybody identify an actual way, though, to come up with what the 20% of the results were the actions are that would give me 80% of the results in the business. Like, it was a nice theory. And they would always say, well, yeah, just put your energy and your attention on the 20% of tasks. And I was like, yeah, well, how the heck do I figure that out? So I just came up with something, and you can do it. Here it is. You take, again, an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and draw a line down the middle of it. And on the left-hand side, write out the tasks that you do regularly in your business, or in your company. And post on social media, attend the staff meeting, go to this conference, work on content, whatever I don't know what you do, but whatever the tasks are that you do, shoot a video, have a meeting, whatever. Then on the right-hand side of it, you would write down your biggest career wins. Now, they don't have to be giant. It doesn't have to be like you got on Oprah. It could be when you booked your first client. It could be getting a raise. It could be getting assigned to a new project that you were so excited about and that really accelerated your career. So, again, a lot of people will come back to me and say, well, I don't have any big career wins. And I'm like, that is because you're looking, that's a perspective problem. I guarantee everyone's had some wins in their career. Mm-hmm. And then all you do is you draw a line from the big wins on the right-hand side to the tasks that were directly related to those big wins. So when I did this, I was completely shocked, because I had spent most of my 20s in New York networking. Like literally, I think that's pretty much what I did. I had coffees, I went to conferences, I went to events. I just, was meeting people and socializing. And I had a lot of guilt about that because I sort of felt like I had frittered away my 20s, just kind of screwing around, meeting people. But when I went and did my 80-20, I realized that most of the biggest wins in my career came from relationships that I had formed at that time and came from nurturing those relationships, and also came from creating content. And so those were my two. And I realized, 80% of my time now needs to be devoted to connecting with people and creating content, because I can see quantitatively that those tasks lead to the biggest results. And so now I know, and it was really helpful when I started having kids, and just like, if I'm sick or, unexpected things happen, when your 20%, then you can prioritize those. I always move my 20% to the beginning of the day because I know my energy is the best at the beginning of the day. And I feel like I have the most control over my time. Nothing's unraveled yet. And so my 20% goes in the 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. slot.
And it helps you make decisions too, because I'm sure you get bombarded with all these opportunities you could do. And you probably say no a lot because of this.
I do. I would imagine you do too. And I think that that's a muscle that needs to be strengthened amongst women, especially because we've been raised to be pleasing. And saying no can be hard, but I will tell you, if you don't learn to say no, you're going to feel stalled out, you're going to feel stuck, and you're going to feel resentful. So
it's something I had to learn when I had my first daughter, for sure. Because I used to say yes to everything. And then I was like, I don't have the time to do that anymore.
Yeah, having kids does help with that.
Helps you prioritize what's important, for sure.
Yeah, it does.
So we could go on, but I want you to tell us where people can find out about your book and where you are online. I know you're on Instagram, so make sure you share that too.
Great. So you can go over to katenorthrup.com/book. If you can get your copy of Do Less on Amazon, at your local bookstore. If I love supporting local bookstores. So, if you do have one, please go support them. And then when you go to katenorthrup.com/book, you can get some bonuses that go along with the book, including a recorded workshop that I did further explaining the 80-20 application, and then also one on setting boundaries and saying no. So if those two topics resonated with you, you'll get extra content for free with your book purchase.
Awesome.
Oh, and then Instagram.
And you're always on stories. So that's why I wanted to promote that too, because
Thank you.
You see the behind the scenes of like how you're really doing this, right?
Yeah, it's nothing, I'll tell you what, it is nothing fancy.
Exactly. And that's what's great about it too, because it's real life. This is real life.
Yeah.
So I always like to end with like one action our listeners can take today. So if there was a one action they could take to help them achieve more by doing less, what would it be? Besides, you did share the 80-20 thing. So another one. I want another one.
Another one. Yeah. So just, when you turn off the podcast, really just take a quick second, close your eyes, take a quick breath, or, you could do it while you're walking into the grocery store. You don't have to close your eyes. I understand you're busy. And ask yourself, what is something that's looming in my life that I really don't want to do, and that's not a good use of my time? And then I'm going to challenge you to say no to something today and practice saying no. So it doesn't mean the next thing, like maybe the next thing is a heck yes, but maybe the thing after that. Just if you get in the practice of saying no every day, you're going to get really good at it, and you're going to get a lot more done in a lot less time and have less stress.
Okay, I need to do this too. I'm going to be doing it too. I need to do this. So thank you so much, Kate, for being here. This was fun to connect today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.